Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Insta Live. Our Talking Tuesday topic for today is significance of support in labor. Just going to wait for a couple of more minutes to let everybody join in. Hello, everyone. Hi, Janvi. Hi, Anshika. Hi, Saranya. Hi, Neha. Hi, Divya. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Nitya. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Talking Tuesdays. And our topic for today is significance of support in labor. Um, so a lot of you, have joined us for our previous Talking Tuesdays as well. And yesterday we were in conversation during our intro to childbirth classes, and we were very happy to know that there has been, you feel that you are being heard and your questions are being answered through our Talking Tuesday. Very happy to know that. So, Divya, over to you.
Okay, so today we're talking about support, and I would like to start with a question for all of you. What does support truly mean? What is that one word? I'll be happy if you type it in, and we'd love to see your response. So, what does support truly mean? And where is the power of
Are you
that
asking
support?
specifically for in labor or otherwise?
No, anything. Support. The word support. What does the connotation of the word support come up as? And I'm going to refine it a little bit even further. If I say the word support versus the word help, is there a difference? Do you feel that difference? Yes. Listening to you without judging. We're getting answers already, if you see.
Yes.
And do you think there is a sense of difference between the word support and help? And even if you can't put it in words, just say a yes and no. That's right. Holding space for someone non-judgmental. Excellent. Help along with love is support. Excellent. So help and support are similar, but not quite the same. Support is holding space, just like, and I know that birth sense is Neha. So welcome, Neha. Is holding space. What does that mean? That means I am looking at you. My attention is on you. You are of interest of me. I care, but I also am witnessing how you're expressing yourself or where you are at right now. And that is the most important thing. Out of witnessing you, will the support arise? Where is it that you will choose to today say, this is what I can accomplish. Now can you step in? Or now can you give me a little nudge? Or now can you motivate me? Or now can you inspire me? Or just say, I'm going to do this, but I want you to be rock solid there to keep looking at me, because your being there is good enough for me to keep me on track. So the real power of support, or what it means, does not arise from the person giving support. It arises from the person who's receiving the support, because it's defined by them. The person giving the support holds a quality of presence, just simply being there and witnessing and interested to what might be asked for. So many times when people say labor support and they talk about how much you have studied, those are things where you're putting the onus of what is to be done on the person outside of yourself. That's not support. Support intrinsically is you as the mother or the person or the child saying, wait, and believe that I'm capable. Not just wait for me to fall and fail, but believe that I'm capable to see what I can do today and how I might grow from it. And that's support. So you, just because you have water and fertilizer, you don't just keep watering the plants. What do you watch out for? Are they dry? What is the what is the season for this plant? How much water this may need? Only then do you support its growth. If you leave it in the wild, it'll seek the support itself, because nature is abundant in support. It's been designed that way. But when you've brought it into a more, let's say, specific environment, then it may need your support to meet its nutritional needs. But how much that may be will come from the plant itself. Okay, I need more water, or whether the leaves are telling you that pay attention. And they won't wilt, actually, if you're already holding the witness in a loving, caring, interested way. So support basically means that there is somebody who you have chosen or who has offered to bear witness to your, for the lack of a better word, power. But, if you also want to call it process, sometimes by using the word power, we get lost in what the connotations may come up. But it is birth is a powerful phenomena. But let me say process. Process, because you're an individual going on a journey which is predefined, but you will find your own way, and that is your process. So it is somebody you've chosen or have offered and you're comfortable with, to witness your process and to be observant and attentive to what you might need at that point. And that would be support. It is nuanced, it is complex, and unfortunately it has now condensed into being I have the skill, or I have the tools, or I have the education or the certification. Because how do you teach attentive presence? How do you teach interest? How do you teach respect? How do you teach spaciousness if you're so focused on what you know, but you're not considering the person you're actually supporting? So that's how I would define support.
So, Divya, who can this support person be? Of course, somebody from the family, but like you said, there are, trained professionals.
Yes, there are trained professionals. There's a career around it. It could be family. But since the onus of that choice lies on the person themselves, who will define who my support person will be? It's not one person. So the mom, in birth situation, the mom should decide who she wants to be supported by. That's number one. And the second thing that's really important, the other person is also willing and available. When I say available, emotionally, physically, intellectually, informationally, having a clear idea. Either
Right.
we are looking at somebody who is really the professional and then saying, oh, you take the burden of it, help me, I'm helpless. Or we are pulling in people who we are adding a burden of saying, you need to support me. It's relational. That is why, as doulas, we do a lot of prenatal meetings. We give a lot of choices to our clients. At any point, if our client who has shown an interest to have our service says, I don't think I'm comfortable with this, we're happy to step back and say, we're here for you. Tell us what you need. Even if it means you don't be there. I have doulas here on this group, so I'm sure they'll deal with me. There are many births that we sit outside. There are conversations we have in our community when we say we feel redundant. And we have to remind ourselves that the reason that the family feels secure and can do this and come into that power and that process on their own is that we bring something to the table, even when we are sitting outside the room. And to find that in yourself. And so who can be a support? Husband can be a great support. You have to clearly define what you need from them. And they have to clearly say they're up to it, or they're happy to learn, or accept them as they come. Family members can be. Just because somebody has given birth, or, just because somebody knows about it, it's not necessary that they are support. A lot of women who were supported in labor and birth many, many generations ago were actually illiterate. All they had, that the intuitive self, the nurturing self that they had, and they followed that. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So it's a give and take. But I was listening to a trauma mentor of mine, and they said, what is the basic unit of a relationship? And that is, I feel, you feel me. And that is the core of doula work. That when we come into relation with our clients, because we can't describe it, they feel our care for them. We don't have to do anything. But knowing that care, knowing that you are worthy of our attention, knowing that somebody cares enough, allows the power to emerge, or opens up the process for that power to shine, or whatever you want to call it. It's really difficult to put in words. Yeah, it's really difficult to put in
So
words,
Divya,
but I hope
if
I
it has to be a family member, how can they equip themselves with enough information, around supporting the mom?
Okay. So there are many resources. Fathers traditionally go to childbirth classes with the expectant mom. Family members are lots of childbirth educators, including me. We welcome family members. I remember we had a discussion about, in COVID times when we can't be present, can we be in relation with the family so that they can support? But I think one of the core things that you have to understand about support is that you can't give what you don't have. So a lot of people, including family, will have fears that they're taking, to the birth. And it is only fair. It's not a judgmental statement. It's only fair. They're invested. And they don't have the resources that makes them feel safe. So if you're going to have a family member for support, then it's good for you. Two things are really important. A, to understand what labor may be, the good, the bad, the ugly. This is what I want. This is what may happen. Have a full range of understanding information. And secondly, to be accepting that the mother's choices are hers and hers alone. And they're neither right nor wrong, but these are the things that may serve her today. Sometimes, when I realize when women come to us, they're actually holding judgment about themselves. I have a low threshold of pain, so commonly heard. Who told them that? So you neither defy it, and you say, no, that's not true. You're actually dismissing what they hold to be true. So you say, well, can you hold curiosity around that? Or tell me how you define that. It's neither right nor wrong. Whatever your threshold is, it's yours and yours alone. I respect that. So tell me what you would need, or what would be the indicator where you need more from me, or what would you need from me? If you give them those choices, you don't know where that threshold may change. We just get caught up with the story so often, either against or for, but we are still on the same narrative. So, common story around birth is pain. That's why I picked that idea. So either we say that birth is painless, or we are only talking about pain relief. But either way, our investment is in pain. Okay, there is pain. How do you want to deal with it? How do you want to define that limit? How do you want to work through that? What would help you? How would you call a stop or a pause? Everything is about the woman. That's the support. I am attentive, caring, to hear and witness what you might need from me. Going back to that support again.
Sure.
So if family members are going to do that, they educate themselves with the process itself, but also deal with, or at least name their own fears. And we do that when we work with couples. We do ask fathers, how do you think? Because so much concentration is on the mom. Yeah, there she goes. She's even a grandma sitting in the corner of the room with a loving presence, unconditional love, acceptance, and faith in you can be enough support. Faith is the bedrock of support. We believe you can do it. That is why we choose to stand by you, to hold your hand, not drag you to the finish line, whatever that perceived achievable finish line means. Yeah.
Sure. Anyone has any questions around these points that we've discussed? More than happy to take it up right now. So Neha is saying educating for the partner is more, I feel, to help them feel more confident and
Yeah.
non-anxious, not that they need to learn anything on how to support.
Yeah. I agree. Which
Yeah.
is what we said. we said, to deal with their own. And even if you not deal is such a big word, just naming that this is my boundary and this is your boundary, and how we may come together. And if there is a little bit of a gap between what I can do and you, again, go back to the woman and say, how do you see that fulfilled? But also having this open mind that one role is not for one person. People are individuals, and you are not predictable, and that's okay. So adding resources rather than restricting and burdening would also be a way of supporting yourself and others to support you. Same thing for doulas. The doulas have a large degree of burnout because we feel the weight of our clients' expectation, and we're committed to it. But sometimes when we walk out, we feel like, not only have we done support, we've also given birth and then carried how that experience was, the responsibility of that experience on us. And that's, again, when we do that, women don't feel supported. Support means this is who I am and this is what I need, and can you do that for me, or can you do this for me? It's still the power of asking for it lies with her, and the other people are kind of enhancing that experience around her.
So these conversations are needed to have like much in advance before you go for your labor, or that particular day you decide who will accompany you.
You can have the conversations all you want, but you can practice a lot of relaxation, and that moment she says, don't touch me. So you got to think on your feet. There's a film that is that we show in our classes, and it's called Birthday, and she's talking about her birth, and she says that when I looked at my husband, it felt like love was bursting out of me. So he started to walk backwards so that she could keep on looking at him and walking. I mean, it's not technical, is it, Tanvi? And you can. How do we know how we would be? If we knew how our reactions would be at every moment of our life, in every circumstances, life would be extremely boring. It is our unpredictability that makes it interesting for us. Correct. And when that is managed and well contained and within our reach, that's safe. And when we get overwhelmed with it, that has potential for trauma. That's the difference. It's not really what is happening. It's our capacity. And if somebody there is enhancing our capacity to meet the uncertainty of birth, that's support right there. I worked with women who said, I worked as an interpreter for some expats as support. And they think that was the most meaningful thing that I could have done. That changed the way they gave birth, because they didn't have to worry about explaining in a language that they couldn't communicate with the staff. I mean, as simple as that is also support.
Sure. So Gayatri is asking us a question, and she's saying, is there any way we can examine ourselves how much centimeter we are dilated? Because an examination is very painful when done by the doctor.
True. So my question, Gayatri, would be, why do you need to know how much you're dilated? Right? Because even if you knew you were 6 centimeters, what does it tell you about what happens next? And if it is not predictive, then knowing is really unimportant. The only time you need to know how much you're dilated if you're going to take a decision on it. If you are already in a place where you've accepted that I will let things happen naturally and my body understands the slowing and the speeding up as needed by the baby, then why do I need to know that number, which has no meaning? But to tell you how you are doing, tune inside. As your senses collect from the outside world to the inside world, you're progressing. Even though outwardly people think you're in pain, your perception of the world changes. You're progressing. As you feel your baby move in different positions, you know how you're progressing. So there's so many ways. As a doula, sometimes I hear what the women are saying and how they're sounding. We can predict where she may be. It's just maybe predict wasn't the correct word. It's like an assessment, because this is what it unfolds as. That, to move from outside to inside before coming out again. This is the exact movement. If you see an embryo forming in the uterus, right in the beginning, in speed, this is exactly the same movement. We're cyclic in our patterns. We are always making these movements in life. We are moving outward, we're moving inward. When she moves inward, when people are saying something, but they seem like they're talking from a great distance, you're progressing. When people are talking and it irritates you, you're progressing. If you are closing down your inwardly, you're progressing. What does the number tell you that this doesn't tell you?
She's just mentioning also that because my doctor is not on the same page with me, so I want to spend as much time as at home before I head to the hospital.
This is helpful then. This is really helpful because you know how you're moving along labor rather than how many centimeters you are. So it is possible that you arrive at the hospital 7 centimeters, but don't dilate at all for 2 hours after that. And there are stories, a lot of my colleagues can tell those stories. So the number won't matter. What would matter is how you feel. What you're feeling within the body, what you feel in your emotional field. From here to here, whatever you feel will matter. So if you are staying at home to avoid the doctor, how do you feel? Do you feel safe or do you feel threatened? Will you feel that I can open up into this space, I feel safe, or I have to protect myself? Because this is not going to let you dilate very quickly. So even though your relationship with your doctor is such, firstly acknowledging it, which is great, you've already done that, Gayatri, but also to say that there is so much only she can do and the rest is with me. And there are other little tricks that we teach as well. So maybe you can tell your doctor that I'll come and visit you, but I'll decide whether I go back or not, if you can say that. If you can't say that, then also staying at home and worrying about what's going on is not going to help your labor. Sometimes embracing the challenge, accepting it for what it is, and then finding what would help and letting people, allocating people to say, your husband thinks you're timing the contractions. If your contractions are 1 minute long and have stayed that way and are getting progressively closer, that's the time we'll discuss going to the hospital. Or if I get really anxious, help me see how the baby movements were so that now I can settle with that. So all these different things, if you bring in together and allocate people to support you with those tasks because you're moving inward, perhaps you can stay at home longer than you think possible. But if you're always thinking about how many centimeters and I have to avoid going to the hospital, that's not going to really help a lot.
Yeah, that's just going to add to probably the anxiety. Okay, so KP Venugopalan, she's asking, how will support help in high-risk pregnancy so that vaginal birth can happen?
Okay, so first let me put context to the high-risk pregnancy. What is defining the high-risk pregnancy? Is it gestational diabetes? What is it? If your status of health is not pushing you towards a medical intervention or indicating a medical intervention, say if you're doing well, say yes, your sugars were high, but they're well maintained, your lifestyle, you're keeping everything in control, and your doctor is okay with vaginal birth, then the high risk really doesn't matter. High risk would in the hospital mean more probably monitoring of the baby. That's it. So if it is not indicative of an intervention, then the high risk is just more monitoring, and that's really not getting in the way of your vaginal birth. If there is an intervention, depending on that intervention, a support system. So whether it's a doula you've chosen, and you might choose a doula who extensively works with you, understanding your condition of that high risk and what it may entail. You've had a detailed plan of when it is being monitored and when intervention is needed. All of that. Having a person like that who understands your situation, who accepts your situation, who helps you come back to that balance where you can evaluate your situation and make choices, will absolutely help your vaginal birth if it is heading in that direction. simply by making you feel safe. And we covered that. Remember when we said safety is the substratum from which physiological birth emerges. The hormones work in balance. That's how labor will progress. Fear and anxiety is the opposite effect on birth. So yes, having a support will definitely enhance your experience, your ability to move through whatever that birth will bring in. But that's nothing to do with IDIS. It is true for every birth in that sense, that preparation, that time you've invested, that relationship you've built, because that is not quantifiable. You know, the acceptance, all of that will help you to support a vaginal birth. I mean, I know you've written vaginal birth. Sometimes vaginal birth is not all that it is supposed to be. So let's say a good positive birth, probably a better way of saying it.
Great. Hope that answers your question, KP Venugopalan. Moving on to our next question by Millie. She's asking, what if the hospital policies are against allowing the support during birth? In my place, not many hospitals allow that. How can we assert our autonomy there?
Okay, that's a big one. So I'm going to answer that. Firstly, what are your they still have to give you a reason why they don't allow, what are their fears? Legally, you're supposed to have somebody to support you. Physiologically, it enhances birth. There's research that says supported women have better outcomes. So unless your doctor and your hospital has a specific policy of traumatizing you and causing harm, why would they not allow you? So when you assert your autonomy, it's a little bit of a conflict. But when you use a word like saying that, what are your reasons? Because there is no evidence in that. Also, you can say, is it your wish to make me suffer through this? You have to use words that put the onus of the experience being hijacked by them back on them. So why would they not allow? Is it because of COVID? I don't understand that reasoning either, because you and your partner are together and exposed to each other. How is your partner or your family member a risk to you? So if you name it as it is without being angry or confronting, you might get a better result. So say for reasons, they say because of COVID we are reducing exposure. So for the sake of infection, saying, okay, who are you worried about, me or the hospital? Ask that question. Let them say, we're putting you in this situation because we want to protect ourselves. They cannot say it. It puts it in perspective. Say, my husband stays with me. I'm already exposed to him. We know legally and physiologically support will matter. So I don't understand your rationale for stopping my partner to be there. Unfortunately, this conversation either has to happen before you go into labor, or your partner has to be strong enough to do it. So now you are enlisting his support to protect your environment when the hospital comes, preferably before, not during. But also, these rational points. So, when we get angry, when we get upset, when we feel pushed, we may not be able to access our rational minds to make a point as simple as that. Lots of people are calling and saying, my husband's not allowed because of COVID. And I'm like, who's at risk? Because your husband lives with you. You're already exposed to each other. This 24 hours will not increase the exposure. So it's generally because of the hospital. So you got them to name that their choices are coming because of their protocols, their reasoning, and nothing to do with you. And please name the fact how this will affect your birth so that they take responsibility for it. You will find your negotiation getting a little bit better.
Okay. KP Venugopalan is also asking that how to prepare the support person for the experience, since husbands are not very much exposed to birth stories.
True. Disconnected. True. So my bias is to get somebody who has passion for birth. And that could be a family member, usually could be a woman. Your husband is welcome and he has his own role, and that's a lot of emotional support. Some of them might just step up to the task and be rock solid. Some of them may actually invite or have somebody else, and offering that to you might be their way of looking after you and supporting you. So my personal bias is definitely to have a doula. If not, to have a mother, sister, a sister-in-law, a friend who's had some experience of birth, but it's not their fear of birth. And if you're going to look for who you want to choose, you ask them what their belief about birth is, what their belief about you is, and what belief they have about their role. And if these three things point back to you, and you're comfortable with that, that's your support person. If say the person says, oh, I'll make sure that you'll do the movements, or I'll tell you how to move to get the baby out. They don't know what the baby is doing inside. They don't know how you feel inside. But if they are saying, I can make some suggestions because my eyes can see what they're seeing, and then you can tell me how you feel about that, that's your support person. Somebody who makes you feel that you got it. Even when you don't get it, that's okay, you got that. That's your support person. So,
Okay.
that's how you choose.
Yogita is asking that some partners feel that they will be in a difficult state seeing her in pain, and they say that I don't want that. How to prepare them for being there around in labor? I think it kind of answers the previous question only.
Yeah, yeah. But like I
Deepika is
said,
asking,
the
yes,
birth stories are all about pain, either for the pain or against the pain, but the pain is center stage. We got to stop talking about the pain. We cannot keep talking about, if we don't want to go in that direction, don't talk about it. Put it in its rightful place. Yes, there is pain, but I don't know how much. But there is more. Let's talk about that. So a lot of times I tell, also one way is to get fathers involved to say is go as far as you can. Something is better than nothing. See what you can offer. Where is your line? And have a communication between them, or even a conversation, kind of there saying, this is how he feels, this is how she feels. Communicate. It's a relational field. Labor support specifically is highly relational field. It has to be a very clear, sacred space with no conflict in it, because not only we're saying fear is natural, it has a bias. Our brain is biased to fear and anxiety. If we bring people who are anxious into that field, it's counterproductive. But to have conversations, to name these fears, to have it out in the open is also safety. Everything doesn't have to be ideal, ever. That's really chasing a pipe dream. That's the biggest anxiety, the need for perfection. So saying that it's transient, it's imperfect, but I'm here. This is the capacity I'm available in. The point I was trying to make earlier, Tanvi, and I think I want to make it again, is that we have a set limitation of ourselves and others in our mind, which is cognitive. If we can just leave it and not think too much about it, it may be a boundary, but it's a flexible boundary. When we focus on it all the time, it becomes a rigid wall and our possibilities are stifled. I'm just curious about what may be possible. Who told the father he's going to feel the way he's going to feel? It's a narrative. It's not his. He's saying, okay, I accept you will feel that way. See how far that feels comfortable to you. Can you do that for her? Yes, he can. But you've got to believe he can. You don't have to prepare him. The reason he's worried about her is the preparation he needs. Just reframe it and see what can come out of it. Yeah.
Very nicely put, Divya. Deepika is asking, what if everyone around starts blaming the mom for feeling depressed?
Oh my God. Okay. So first and foremost, if anybody wants to look up the work of Stephen Porges, which is polyvagal theory, depression is a symptom of a hypoarousal. It is a symptom of a nervous system that has been overwhelmed to an extent that the only way it can save itself is to move into low arousal. It's actually a survival mechanism. And because the social narrative around mental strength has become so lopsided and so you're wanting proof of it, that we don't see these bodily physiological survival strategies as significant. So I think you need to find that one support person who sees you as you are. Social engagement, which is of value, of human value, which means I feel safe with this person, I trust this person, I have faith in this person sees me, I feel heard. This kind of social engagement, where body language, face is of interest to you, that they are interested in you, they care about you. I won't use the word love, but it's a natural ebb and flow of that caring. If you find that one person, you don't need to listen to the voice of everybody else, and you can stay with that. Now, that is also support. A lot of us who do this work, I know that. I know many on this group who have worked with me also know that. We learn this as support people, which is called trauma-informed care. We understand the nervous system. We understand physiology. In a world that is dual and saying right and wrong, brave and weak, or all of these other victim or valor, we forget that physiology is singular. It's not duality. Your heart is not good or bad. It's your heart. It's beating. It's doing the best it can under the circumstances for you. That linear process or singular process oriented thing, find a person who can support you like that. You need only one person to interject that social engagement system, which is a part of your nervous system, to help and support you step out of that hypoarousal. I will not call it depression. And then mobilize. So you've reached there because of a reason. You've not reached there because you're this weak person. There's been a life process that has taken you there. Can that support person gradually help you mobilize your resources to come back to life? So that's my answer for that, because there is no easy answer to your question. I am so sorry. I wish I could amplify this voice and tell that to everybody. We're trying to do as much as we can. Not just me, many of my sisters are doing whatever we can. So find us, find them. Have the intention of that one person. I'm sure you'll find them. The person who can support you to mobilize your own physiology, to move out of a hyperarousal state, which is completely natural. Your body's protecting you. Your mind is protecting you to come back to life. Because in the beginning, you were and are wholly and fully alive and holistic. This is just a layer. Just remove it.
Right.
There. So that's the support person.
So Sharanya is asking, what is the expected labor hour for the first pregnancy?
Whoa. Let's check with the baby. Let's check with the baby. And the second part is to check with the clock. When did you first start the clock on this labor? We did this last time, and I'm going to say this again. The baby is taking a journey it's making a transition through a pelvis, which has a very unique shape. And that shape is because we're bipedal, we're standing up. And then there are soft tissues that are supporting all this structure inside that's allowing the baby, that is gestating the baby. So this baby is making a transition, which is a lot of small movements, which are supported by the mother's body. Depending on where he starts his journey, how you're feeling, what your environment is, what your situation is, and the mystery, which is called the mysterium of life. I don't know how long it can take. So the second part is when the clock starts. If you start from your first contraction, it could be a long, long hours. But if you decide to not pay attention to that, keep on with your housework like my grandmother did, pure ghar ka kaam, then arrive at the hospital and have at about 8 centimeters and have a 3-hour birth. You can't just really pinpoint and say, this is where my labor will fit. And if it doesn't, something is wrong. You have to say, what does my body and my baby need to make this transition? And how can I feel safe? How can I enlist the support of all the people who help me stay calm and feel safe? That's your approach. I cannot have a time-bound approach. Sorry, I can't answer that question.
So We're just going to take the last question, which Neha had asked, that can you list some things for a mom to look for while selecting a support person?
Yes, I know. It's a really important one, actually. I was going to talk about it anyways, because we've had many discussions, Neha and me, about this. So the first thing the mom has to know is herself. And I don't mean absolute have an idea of what birth she wants, but she should be open to the ideas of discussion, getting information, getting educated, and refining for herself how she feels. That's number one. So first relationship is coming into relationship with yourself. Second thing that she should do is to have a relationship with the baby, to find out what the experience of the baby is, because a lot of people don't think about the baby when they make choices in birth, and they are quite stuck and frozen with fear because of the whole pain narrative. And it's okay to be afraid, but naming it. Then find and meet people who believe in you, who feel that their support will only enhance your innate ability, not people who don't think you are capable. I think that's a very important aspect of finding somebody to support you. It is so seductive for somebody to just validate your fears and tell you, don't worry, I will take care of you. Isn't what the doctor's doing, saying, oh, you don't worry about it, you're in competent hands. You don't want to be in competent hands. You want to be the competent hand because you're going to be the mother of this child. So, we talk of autonomy in many ways. It's a word, but what does it truly mean? That I can feel trust in myself, and it's reflected not just within me, but from outside. Sometimes it's not reflected within me, but that my support person can be this huge mirror in which I can see myself, because she sees me like this, or he sees me like this. So that's a really important part. As a doula, we constantly get people who say, I have you, so this part of my birth is set. It's not set. It's happening through you, in you. You're doing it. We are just witnessing it. We can have a whole discussion on the witness process, and the power of it. But if the language of your care provider, of your support person, does not say you are capable, it's a disservice to you. It's a disservice. I mean, it's your baby, it's a wonderful time, you're sensitive. So you need that grounding factor that says, okay, let's see, let's explore where you're going with this. You can do this, or you are at least capable of identifying what is needed. You're capable of identifying where your limit is. You're capable of identifying what you need as help. You're capable. That's your support person. And that would be one thing that I would say. So your ideologies meet. All of that is there. What do you want from birth? They support that birth. Everything is there. But ultimately, they see you as a capable, responsible person who can go through this and take responsibility. That's
And
it.
Divya, when is the right time to look for a support person if it is outside of your family?
I'd say have an early contact by the beginning of your third trimester, hopefully. If you're looking for a doula, from a doula's perspective, we have work, we make commitments. We also don't take on a lot of clients because this is not a number game. We are putting our hearts, our hands into, our souls into our work. So it takes a lot from us as well. When somebody says my preference is a natural birth and we say, yes, we'll be there for you. Can anybody tell us what date and time it would be and how long it would be? I couldn't answer that question after 20 years. So we put our lives on hold, we put our families on hold, and we want to. That's the element that makes us support people. We care. We want to. We think you're meaningful. We think every baby who comes into this world deserves to be received and welcomed gently. And that is why we don't work with too many people. So it's good to have it up early. It's good to look around. It's good to start a relationship. It's good to have open conversations about subjects that you don't feel you want to talk to anybody. You should talk to your doula because they're not judgmental. They'll hear you
Okay.
out and say, oh, that's interesting. And how do you come here? And, what do you want to do with this? So yeah, early. But even if at the
Right,
last minute you
because
decide you
you
want
don't want
somebody,
a
it shouldn't
random
stop you.
person. I
See,
know.
you go last minute and she's available. I promise you, no doula will say no to you. This is not how we're made. It's a calling.
Right.
But if we're not available and we have to say no, that actually hurts us. We do carry a little bit of sense of responsibility. We work at it every day, but it is there. So if you give us an opportunity to serve and support you, please give us the time to build that relationship, to get to know you, to offer what we can bring to you that might be useful to you. Sorry.
Right. So just taking the last question, which is from Shipra, and she's saying that how to support the client if her support partner is not able to be by her side for some reason.
So you're the doula, or you're just, do you work as a doula, or you're just stepping in as a friend, whatever it is. When you say support partner, does that mean husband? Or
I think
does
so.
that
She's
mean
talking about it.
So if a woman's husband is not there, well, either he's physically not there because he's at work somewhere else, he's transferred out, there's a distance, there's a physical distance. That's one possibility. Then that is why she's seeking another support person. Has she cognized and internalized the fact that he may not be there? And what does that mean to her? Respecting that. Some women may feel it as a loss, and respecting that. If he's there, but he's not emotionally available, well, we can't beat anybody into emotional availability, can we now? So sometimes naming honestly the situation helps women ground into the reality. Being honest, being real, acknowledging I'm not your partner, but I'm here. Speaking with the partner, if possible, to say, okay, in what capacity can you actually, share this journey with her? I've had fathers who waited outside. It's not like they didn't love, they just couldn't bring themselves to. He would come in, he would kiss her, hug her, saying, baby, I love you, and walk out. And that was good enough for her because that is something that they had talked about. So, when you say he's not there, if he's emotionally there, but he, for some reason, cannot be there, what would that mean? How could you then put it out? The reality of it, acknowledge it, respect it, and then say, okay, so this is what is not there, but this is what is there. What would you like to do about it? That's one of the ways to, that's how I would work with it. Because there is nothing you can do, and a reluctant father is probably not a very good idea.
Right. Okay. Divya, would you also like to just talk about, our childbirth classes while we just close our Talking Tuesdays conversation here?
Yes, I would like to, because that's our way of supporting you in times where we cannot physically meet. So at My Child First, we put up our childbirth program online, and it's on a portal where you can, or a platform which you can access at your own pace. So we don't know how timings go. We don't know how your partners are, whether they are there with you, whether they're away. So you all can access it, including any support person in your family who wants to be there with you. To add to these classes, we also have live interactions every weekend, which is divided in, the whole 90 minutes is divided into two parts. The first part is on specific topics. The second part is meeting your questions wherever on the platform or in the journey you are. So you may be on the first module, or you may be in the last module. You can come back to us week on week and interact with us. It may or may not have anything to do with what we've put on the platform, but your unique questions. So we're trying to find a balance between getting you the information, taking away the pace and the tempo of it, giving you all the time in the world, not putting a restriction on when you have to be available, but being available for you, for answering your questions, and bring that human contact that makes, that element of saying we care and we are here, so that you can mobilize your own resources to do and optimize your own birth. So that's what our platform is, and that is what My Child First is doing in the last few weeks, and we are ready for that. If you have any questions, Tanvi is here to answer them. You can get in touch with her.
You can get in touch with us. You can write to us at info@sulitmedia.in. You can also, just call us on our numbers. Just adding to one point regarding our childbirth classes is that goes without saying, one of our instructors, the childbirth class is around Divya. So she is the
No, it's
instructor.
around the woman, done by Divya, facilitated by Divya. we're
Yes,
talking about
absolutely.
support.
Yes, yes. So it's all about you, facilitated by Divya. And these are classes which are as good as classes which are done in person or through a live Zoom session. However, we thought that we wanted to reach out to more and more women. A lot of queries came to us because the timings didn't match of the classes. Either they're busy working during the day or they wanted classes in the evening. So we've kind of worked around this e-learning platform. We have been working on it for the last couple of months, and now it's ready. So anybody from anywhere in the world can come on this platform and access all the information. The added benefit is that, like Divya said, we are going to give you an opportunity to come and talk to us. If you have any questions around pertaining to any topic, you can come back to us week on week,
As many number
and
of times.
the as many number of times, and the program will be available to you for probably the depending on when you join, so 6 months from that time. So you can go back at if at any given point in time you would want to go back to any topic and you would want to come back to us with any questions, you're more than welcome to do that. So if you have any queries related to our online childbirth classes, please do write to us. We
Sandy,
can take up your questions.
there's somebody who's asking about preconception classes. So I want to tell you that we put all our energies in our childbirth class right now, but now that they're online, we are going to move on to other classes and preconception. There is going to be a module on preconception, but I hate to call them classes. That's the worst thing possible. Let's call them an
Correct.
interactions. So it'll follow the same format that we're going to do something which you can take it in your own pace. Our preconception modules will have a lot more internal work for you to do rather than just information based, because it is your intent and your energetic field that are also inviting the baby. There is your medical health, there's your spiritual health, there's your mental health, there's your emotional health. And we're going to talk all about that and put them into things that you can take in your own hands and work with to explore yourself as you get ready to bring babies into the world. So yes, we're coming up with that maybe by the mid August, maybe mid next month.
That's right. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending our Talking Tuesdays. Hope you enjoyed this particular topic as well. And otherwise, also, if you have any questions for us, you can get in touch with us through our email ID or just send us a direct message on our Insta. Thank you so much for attending.
And I will see you next week.
See you. Bye-bye.